Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me live on HMS Queen Elizabeth for the third Atlantic Future Forum. My name is Samira Ahmed, and I'm very excited to be here in such a unique venue in the hangar of the ship, flanked by two helicopters, a Merlin and a Wildcat. And I'm your host for the next 2 days of discussion and debate. We're all very aware that we are in a world wrestling with the disruption of COVID-19, of cyber attacks, of growing political tensions and strategic competition. And in that world, today's forum will bring together thinkers, innovators and leaders from both sides of the Atlantic to address these challenges. The Atlantic Future Forum was created in 2018 to advance the special defence, security, trade and technology partnership between the UK and the US. And in our third year, we very much hope to continue this. This year, we are honoured to have Lord Mark Sadwell as our chairman, who we'll hear from very shortly, and to be hosted on HMS Queen Elizabeth by the First Sea Lord, Admiral Tony Radakin, and Captain Essenhigh. I'm also delighted to welcome so many distinguished guests and speakers from government, business, technology, and the armed forces to the ship and to our virtual platform. So over the next 2 days, we have a fantastic lineup of keynote speeches, of panels for you to participate in, and they're covering a broad range of topics, from the future of globalization to climate change, and to achieving net zero goals, to building the next generation of defence. And I hope these next 2 days will be a chance for industry and government to come together to discuss how we solve these issues together. So without any further delay, I'm delighted to ask the First Sea Lord, Admiral Tony Radakin, and the Commanding Officer of HMS Queen Elizabeth, Captain Essenhigh, to come up to the stage for an official welcome to the ship.
Secretaries of State, ambassadors, distinguished guests, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, it's a huge honour for me to welcome you to HMS Queen Elizabeth for this, the third Atlantic Future Forum. Looking around the hangar now, it's hard to believe that only a week ago, this ship was concluding a major NATO training exercise off the east coast of Scotland, equipped with the most fifth-generation strike power ever deployed at sea. An incredibly potent blend of UK and US Marine Corps F-35B jets working together in a way that's taken the very concept of interoperability to a whole new level, where we now aspire to not only achieve interoperability, but interchangeability, in which the UK and the US jets fly in mixed formations against common target sets. It really has been a remarkable thing to be part of. Here today, back alongside in our home port of Portsmouth, we're having some respite from the near constant roar of jet engines reverberating through the ship, as British sailors and US Marines worked hand in glove together on the flight deck above us, professionals united in a common goal to deliver carrier strike operations. Instead today, we're here together in pursuit of an even loftier common goal, a goal of the highest strategic importance, and one that says just as much about the strength of our unique transatlantic partnership as the sight of those British and American jets lined up side by side on the deck. So it's a real privilege for Queen Elizabeth to once again provide the venue for this forum as we explore the future of our collective security. I'm very much looking forward to the programme coming up over the next 2 days, and to talk more about what's in store, it's my great pleasure to introduce the First Sea Lord, Admiral Tony Radakin.
Thank you, Angus. I would like to start by picking up on those comments about this ship and extend that further. This gathering is so much more than just one of the world's most modern and most efficient aircraft carriers. This is about utilising a warship as a ship of state, about drawing together two nations with a remarkable history of shared values, about acknowledging that real power is only achieved when the instruments of power, military, economic, social, cultural, political, and diplomatic, are aligned and harnessed. This forum speaks to those instruments with a raft of speakers across all levers of power. Two different nations, but one common goal, that of making not only the Atlantic, but also the world more secure, more prosperous, and more equitable for everyone. And now more than ever, it is the time for this discussion. We like to think of this particular ship of state, like all our ships, as an embassy, an intelligence station, and a launch pad for aircraft. Over the next couple of days, it is also a launch pad for ideas. In a moment, Lord Sedwell, Chairman of the Atlantic Future Forum, and Admiral Mike Gilday, Chief of Naval Operations, will offer their own welcomes to this forum from both sides of the Atlantic. But before that, it is my pleasure to introduce the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Boris Johnson.
Welcome to the Atlantic Future Forum on board HMS Queen Elizabeth, a magnificent feat of British engineering and a symbol of naval prowess. Her sister ship, HMS Prince of Wales, is the linear successor of the famous battleship which anchored off Newfoundland nearly 80 years ago, piping Winston Churchill and President Roosevelt onto the quarterdeck, where they drew up the Atlantic Charter. And that is where our story begins, because this charter, whose anniversary we shall celebrate next year, marked the birth of the Atlantic Alliance, incarnating what Churchill called the deep underlying unities between our peoples. We cherish the same freedoms, defend the same values, and confront the same dangers. Without our shared ideals, this aircraft carrier would be nothing but soulless steel and rivets. Instead, she is a majestic seaborne emblem of our resolve to stand up for liberty and democracy. The task of global Britain is to strive alongside our friends to guarantee the success of free and open societies. We will bring our capabilities to bear on the world's toughest problems, seizing the opportunities of our G7 presidency next year and the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow. If we're to rise to the level of events and match our policies to the scale of the challenge, we need the insights of our academics, the technology and ingenuity of our defence industries, and the perspicacity of our service chiefs. We need to hear from our business leaders as we champion free trade and secure our prosperity after the pandemic. To build back better, build back greener, and build back a more peaceful and resilient world. That's why this forum is so important, and I'm delighted to offer my good wishes for your deliberations and leave you in the capable hands of your chairman, Lord Mark Sedwell.